A new dimension has surfaced from Donald Trump's meeting with Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and the Pakistani Army Chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir. It happened at the White House last Friday. A picture of Asim Munir pointing at an open wooden box which contained rare earth minerals, and he was sort of explaining that to Trump. That picture has now gone viral. Pakistan sees these rare earth minerals as a way out of its bankruptcy. Remember, it's on the 7th bailout by the IMF and the World Bank. But they could be getting a lifeline from the Trump administration. Will this reworking of the US-Pakistan relationship? Remember, Shehbaz Sharif is the first Pakistan Prime Minister to get an audience in the White House after 6 long years. The last Prime Minister who went there was Imran Khan way back in 2019. For the last 6 years, no one in the position of Pakistan Prime Minister has got an invitation from the White House. Could this changing dynamic between Washington and Islamabad, top of which is the rare earths mineral deal, will that necessarily change the security architecture and the balance of power for India? I dig a little deeper.
In fact, we have a great leader coming. We have the Prime Minister of Pakistan coming and the Field Marshal. Pakistan Field Marshal is a very great guy, and so is the Prime Minister, both. And they're coming, and they may be in this room right now. I don't know, because we're late.
Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir met with President Donald Trump at the White House last week. The meeting covered bilateral ties, investments, regional security, including the recent Saudi-Pakistan military deal. It appeared aimed at resetting US-Pakistan ties. Shehbaz Sharif is the first Pakistani Prime Minister to be invited to the White House since Imran Khan more than 6 years ago. Pakistan's leaders pressed for American investment across mining, energy, agriculture, and deep tech. They've made a pitch for Pakistan's mineral wealth as an attraction for American firms. Shehbaz Sharif even explicitly called for American companies to invest more in Pakistan's rare earths segment. Alongside political topics, whether it was the situation in Gaza, regional stability, particularly after the recent Israeli attack on Doha, and the Saudi-Pakistan deal, Pakistan also underlined its reservoir of critical minerals. Now, many are seeing this as a lever for closer economic cooperation between Islamabad and Washington. Back in April, there was some media reporting, particularly in the Pakistani media, that an American metals firm had signed a $500 million investment deal with Pakistan to develop rare earth minerals projects. The meeting and the display of some of these rare earth samples by General Munir to President Trump appear connected to that push that happened a few months ago. Photographs that were released by the White House show Asim Munir pointing to an open wooden box with samples of minerals or rare earths to President Trump. They list things like lithium, tungsten, copper as among samples that were shown in that video. The image of Trump staring at that box has been widely shared on social media. Now, here's why this is important. It presents rather novel optics. Heads of state, usually ceremonial items, are gifted. But in this instance, a neat little box of rocks presented by a sitting army chief is visually striking. It's also very meme-friendly. There's also a strategic subtext. Rare earths are critical to making semiconductor chips, defense technology, and green energy. Any signal that Pakistan can supply these rare earths to America touches a hot-button global topic. China currently dominates many of the rare earth supply chains, with more than 90% of the world's rare earth processing happening in China. That is why the image of Munir showing these rocks to Trump is seen more than just as a photo opportunity. It's being read as geopolitical bargaining. Rare earths and lithium are essential for weapons, semiconductors, electric vehicles and batteries, and other high tech. The US is intent on reducing its reliance on Chinese-controlled supply chains. It also wants to develop alternate sources which are both politically and economically viable. Pakistan, in the midst of this, is pitching itself, and that could translate into American investment, technology transfers, and a much stronger security cooperation with America. Pakistan has been in the doghouse ever since US Navy SEALs team took out Osama bin Laden, the founder and the main leader of Al-Qaeda, way back in 2012. And now, this is Munir and Shehbaz Sharif's way of getting back into Washington's good books. But the rare earths deal was not the only one on the menu at the White House. Pakistan also recently signed a defense and military cooperation agreement with Saudi Arabia. Analysts warn that this deepens Saudi Arabia's security role in Pakistan, and it could revive an older patron and client state relationship between Riyadh and Islamabad. What this also means is there are repercussions for India, which has been watching on the sidelines quite warily about these increasing Saudi-Pakistan military ties, because it tips and changes the regional security balance. But Pakistan is also courting its old partners and friends. China, for long, has been Pakistan's primary strategic partner, whether it's military arms sales, whether it is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, in which China has spent more than $50 billion. These are all central pillars of what has been described as an ironclad friendship. During the Operation Sindoor, the war over 4 days that happened back in May between India and Pakistan, when that war flared up, Indian military analysts, many of them, flagged Chinese political and military support, including the fact that 80% of Islamabad's weapons today come from China. That relationship between Beijing and Islamabad has not evaporated, and it's not going away anytime soon. So taken together, Pakistan courting America, this display of bonhomie and the rare earths, rocks that was shown by Munir to Trump, and then there is deepening ties with Saudi Arabia and its continuing closeness to China, it raises genuine security concerns in New Delhi. There's also the shifting balance of power and the potential for Pakistan to leverage multiple patrons for military and economic support at the same time. Analysts see Islamabad as hedging its bets rather than fully aligning with one partner, whether it is America or China or even Saudi Arabia. Since Donald Trump's return to office, there's been a deliberate American overture towards Pakistan. Trump's team has signaled interest in using Pakistan as a regional interlocutor, whether it's on Afghanistan, because Trump desperately wants the Bagram airbase back, whether it's on Gaza, and of course on rare earths and critical minerals. Also, Trump has repeated ad nauseum a number of occasions now that it was he who mediated between India and Pakistan when the flare-up, when the war happened back in May. India has denied any third-party mediation, while Pakistan, in a polar opposite gesture, has nominated Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. The imagery from the White House and the public framing of it suggests a conscious rapprochement between America and Pakistan. If Pakistan becomes a credible supplier of critical rare earth minerals, then America may invest in Pakistani extraction and processing, which is important for the global tech and defense supply chains. Pakistan, at the same time, leveraging both Saudi Arabia ties as well as its American ties while keeping its China relationship very close, complicates the threat calculations for New Delhi. There is a risk of more external actors and more external backing for Islamabad's military posture. The viral image of the mineral box that Munir was displaying to Trump is not just a public diplomacy win for Pakistan, it reframes Islamabad as an economic partner, not just as a security headache. And that matters in Washington's policy circles. That especially matters in the White House with the most transactional US president currently the occupant of the White House.